Hi guys, and thank you so much for letting me into your classroom today. Thank you, Mrs. Breslin. So, I have some questions here. Seems like you guys wrote these down for me. Thank you very much for taking the time. Question number 1, do I have a goatee? No, I don't have a goatee. Is that a poet thing? Do poets usually have goatees? Number 2, do your poems make sense, or are they silly ones like Dr. Seuss? I think all poems have some room for silliness. They don't necessarily always have to make sense. Number 3, do you write old age poems or new age poems? I feel like you're asking, do I use words like thus and thou, and yeah, they're pretty like plain English, nothing too fancy, no art thous. Do you ever get stressed over your work? All the time, yeah, absolutely. It's hard finding inspiration, finding reasons to write, finding the motivation to sit down and actually crank it out. And it's frustrating sometimes when you have an idea of the kind of poem you want to write and you're just not like nailing it, I would say. What is it like to be a poet in the modern world? It's hard. It's hard to get your work out there. It's hard to get your name out there. And it's hard to differentiate yourself from your peers and stand out in poetry. You have to take risks and kind of go against the grain a little bit. Excuse me, I'm gonna close this door. That's better. No light on my face anymore. When did I start writing poetry? I started writing poetry at a young age, probably not too much older than you guys are now. And they weren't good. Do you have a job besides being a poet? Yes, I do. How much money do you make with your poetry? Not much. But there are poets out there who make a lot of money with their poetry. How do you find new words to use? Like using a thesaurus is a really good tool. A lot of poets create words. Shakespeare, he has I think 100 words that he made up. I wish I could think of one, but I can't. So look it up on your own time. Google that. Where do I get my inspiration? Inspiration kind of comes when you least expect it. If you're trying to write a poem, I think that usually you'll find that your mind will just be blank. But you might be walking down the street one day, unsuspecting, and you just get hit in the face with a concept or a mood or a theme or something that you just want to expand on. And it's always good to write that down immediately before you lose it, because you could go a year without thinking of anything to write about, or you could go 5 minutes. Do you write kid poems or adult poems? I write for both, I would say. Do you sing any of your poems? No. Do you ever start writing a poem, stop, go to work on another one for a while, and then come back to it? Or do you write one at a time? I write one at a time usually, but I might revisit a poem that I've already written while I'm writing another one. So I guess the answer is yes. That was kind of a complicated way of just saying yes. How do you present your poems? On stage, just to my friends, in a one-on-one setting, all kinds of ways. I mean, any way that you get to share your work is pretty great. I mean, I love anytime somebody takes the time to listen to me. So if I have to get up on stage and talk into a microphone so that people will listen to me, or if I have to tell my friend, hey, I really need you to listen to this and give me some feedback, it doesn't matter as long as I get to do what I like to do. And that's write and read poetry. Have you ever made a play, show, opera, performance out of any of your poems? Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say it's made it into any operas, but definitely a play or two, and some definitely, and I've performed it at a couple different venues, from New York to LA and some places in between. Last question. Thank you guys so much for your time. This is the last one. What do you do with all your finished poems? Do you put them in a book? Do you include pictures with them? It depends. Sometimes I'll post them on YouTube. And sometimes if it's a really personal poem, I'll never let anyone see it. It depends. Am I writing the poem for other people? Then I'll share it with other people. Am I writing it for me because there's something on my mind that I just want to get off my chest? Then maybe that just stays in a book. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much. Be very kind to Miss Breslin teaching poetry. What could be better than that? And have a great rest of your day. Enjoy poetry, guys. It's an awesome art form.